Week 16, Day 1. And the quality this week is common sense. Zig Ziglar used to say the one thing that's uncommon, nothing is as uncommon as common sense. And I think that's so true. The definition, having knowledge of what would seem to be an ordinary understanding. I think that would be true. In thinking about common sense, just the first thought that comes to mind is the politicians and the government and the way the United States is run as far as the problems that we have. And I had a good friend of mine that was in the Congress, and he told me, he said, if you want to fix Social Security, all you have to do is put everybody in Congress on Social Security. Their only retirement would be Social Security. He said it would get fixed in 15 minutes. But as long as the people that are making the laws don't have to abide by the laws and don't live by the rules and regulations, that's common sense. If you were to close every loophole in the taxes and say that no congressman can use a loophole in a tax, they would eliminate the loopholes. If every congressman in the United States had to do something for his constituents during the time he was in office in order to run for office, in evaluations, one of the best things that I think I ever did as an administrator, as a coach, as an athletic director, was the way we evaluated our people. It is so common sense that you base your evaluations on performance. Now, I want you to, one of the saddest things, and I guess one of the pet peeves I have in the world, is so many coaches get reassigned or fired because of, number one, political pressure at the college level. Some 2 or 3 big donors get together and say, we don't like him, and we're not going to give y'all any more money if you don't get rid of him. So he's gone. At the high school level, it's always 2 or 3 parents get together and start making phone calls to the superintendent or to the principal, and all of a sudden some guy's fired, and when you ask why, well, some of the parents didn't like him. And really, they're not going to say that, but that's the truth. Common sense. When we evaluated coaches, we sat down and we said, okay, here are the important things to me. How many of your players are going to be eligible this year? That's the academic part. And a coach would say, okay, I've got 20 kids on the volleyball squad, and 18 of them I don't have any problem with. I got 2 students that I'm really going to struggle with. Now, that lets you know 2 or 3 things. That lets you know that the coach had gone to the trouble to find out about the academic situation and had a plan for what was going to happen. If a coach came in and just said, well, all 20 of mine, I'd say, okay, now, coach, you're going to be held to that at the end of the season. Well, at the end of the season, the coach would come in and I'd say, you only had 14 kids eligible. I need you to write why you only had 14 eligible, and what are you going to do differently next year to make sure that doesn't happen. So what you had was an evaluation system with a growth plan built in. Common sense. I think it's the most common sense thing in the world. It's like the politicians that we have, the government that we have today, they spend all their time getting reelected, not dealing or doing for constituents. Well, if they had to prove that they had done something for the constituents back home, before they could run again, no matter what their war chest was or no matter how much money they raised. You know, and people say, well, I don't know why the rich people get everything. Then you haven't thought it through. Rich people get everything because they donate to the political campaigns. They own the politicians. That's common sense. Politicians have to get reelected. In order to be reelected, they have to spend money on political campaigns. They have to get that money from somewhere. Rich people give them that money if they do what they're told. Common sense. When you evaluate someone, if you build an evaluation like we did in athletics, and you have the eligibility, you have how many district games are you going to win, you have the thing, what's your attendance going to be, are you going to be late to any meetings, are you going to punctuality, and you write these down, and they can be anything as long as they're important to you. And then at the end of the year, you sit with them before the season and you sit with them after the season. And you say, here's what needs to be done. It takes care of it. And then you have a legitimate evaluation system. How do you hire people? You sit them down and you show them the evaluation and you say, here's the rules you got to go by. These are the rules that are going to determine whether or not you stay here or you don't stay here. Very simple. I mean, and you can do it for assistant coaches, teachers, anybody you want to do it for, if you sit down and use common sense to evaluate people. Common sense is so unusable today. We don't use common sense at all. I mean, it is so crazy. You just don't have it. Now, I want to review real quickly. I think I'll wait till tomorrow and do that. Don't forget, you're going to write down 3 goals today. Write down 3 things that you're going to get done either today or this week. Write down 3 things that you're going to get done. Why are you doing this? To be purpose-driven. Why do you write a plan with it? To be committed. Why do you do it? Check on Friday and check every day to see if you did them. To be responsible. Question number 1, how common is common sense? Number 2, what do you think the key to having common sense is? First, you got to find out what the objective that you're trying to accomplish is, and then you've got to have a plan for it. So it's very simple to have common sense, to be logical. See you tomorrow.